You know, one of the biggest misunderstandings about high blood pressure is that people instantly blame salt. Everyone says, oh, my blood pressure is high, I must cut down on salt. And while sodium does play a role, that's only half the story. Actually, it's not even the main story. The truth is, most people with hypertension are not suffering from too much salt, they're suffering from too little potassium. Yes, you heard that right. The real issue isn't sodium overload, it's potassium deficiency. Let's break this down simply. Your body is like an electrical system. It works on delicate balances, especially between sodium and potassium. These two minerals work together to maintain your body's fluid balance, nerve signals, and muscle contractions. When they're in harmony, your heart beats smoothly, your blood vessels stay relaxed, and your kidneys flush out excess fluid properly. But when sodium dominates and potassium drops, things start to go wrong, very wrong. Now think about the modern diet. What does the average person eat in a day? Processed foods, bread, snacks, cheese, canned soup, and fast food. All of these are extremely high in sodium but almost completely devoid of potassium. Even when people think they're eating healthy, like having breakfast, cereal, or toast, there's practically no potassium there. The problem isn't that people are adding salt to their food, it's that they're not getting enough potassium to balance that salt. In fact, the average person today consumes less than half of the potassium their body needs daily. The recommended amount is about 700 milligrams, but most people barely reach to 1,000 milligrams. Imagine running a car engine with half the oil it needs. How long before it overheats? That's exactly what's happening inside the body. When potassium levels drop, your arteries begin to tighten. Potassium's natural role is to relax the smooth muscle in your blood vessel walls, keeping them flexible and open. Without it, the arteries constrict and the pressure inside rises. The heart has to pump harder to push blood through those narrow vessels, and your blood pressure starts climbing. Over time, this constant strain damages the arteries, increasing the risk of stroke, heart attack, and kidney disease. But here's the interesting thing. When researchers studied primitive or traditional societies, they found something fascinating. Populations that eat a natural, unprocessed diet, high in vegetables, fruits, and roots, consume up to 10 times more potassium than sodium. And guess what? They have extremely low rates of hypertension. Their blood pressure barely rises with age. Compare that to the modern diet where sodium intake is sky high and potassium is low, and suddenly you see why hypertension is so common today. So, it's not really the salt shaker on your table that's killing you, it's the processed food and the absence of potassium-rich foods that's doing the real damage. Every time you reach for packaged snacks, ready-made meals, or fast food, you're loading your body with sodium and depriving it of potassium. That imbalance forces your kidneys to retain fluid, your blood volume increases, and your heart must push harder, causing high blood pressure that doesn't respond even to medication. You see, potassium is like nature's blood pressure regulator. It tells your body to release excess sodium through urine. When you get enough potassium, your kidneys start flushing out extra salt, your blood vessels relax, and your pressure begins to normalize naturally. But when potassium is missing, sodium builds up, your body holds onto water, and the entire system gets overloaded. Many people are doing the right things. They're exercising, taking medicine, eating low salt. But they still can't get their blood pressure under control. That's because they're missing the foundation electrolyte balance. Without enough potassium, all other efforts are like building a house on sand. It looks fine for a while, but it can't stand strong. Now think about this. Most of your body's potassium isn't floating in the blood, it's stored inside your cells. That's what helps regulate electrical signals for your heart, brain, and muscles. When potassium drops, those signals get disrupted. You might feel fatigue, irregular heartbeat, or even muscle cramps. But most people ignore those signs until it becomes a bigger issue like hypertension. So what does this mean for you? If your blood pressure is stubborn, if it doesn't respond to typical treatments, or if you always feel tense or bloated, start thinking about potassium, not just salt. Because when your sodium to potassium ratio is off, your blood vessels can't relax, your kidneys can't filter efficiently, and your body ends up in constant pressure mode. And here's the kicker. It's not that difficult to fix. The body is designed to heal and balance itself when you give it the right materials. Start by increasing potassium. Rich foods like leafy greens, avocados, spinach, mushrooms, tomatoes, and salmon. Slowly, your cells begin to restore their electrical charge and the body reclaims balance. So yes, high blood pressure is not just a disease, it's a signal. A signal that your body is out of mineral balance. And the first place to start correcting it is by restoring potassium, the most overlooked nutrient for healthy blood pressure. Now that you understand how critical potassium is for blood pressure balance, let's talk about where to actually get it from. Because here's the mistake many people make. They immediately run to the supplement aisle. They buy potassium pills thinking they can fix the deficiency overnight. But that doesn't really work. You see, potassium in supplement form is limited by law. Most tablets contain only about 99 milligrams per dose. And when your body needs thousands of milligrams a day, that tiny amount won't make a real difference. The truth is, your potassium should come from real food, the kind that's grown in soil, not made in a factory. Nature has already packaged potassium perfectly with fiber, magnesium, and phytonutrients that help your body use it properly. When you eat spinach, kale, avocado, or even a baked potato with the skin, you're getting potassium in a bioavailable, safe form that your cells can actually use. Let's take an example. One avocado gives you around 975 mg of potassium. A cup of cooked spinach has about 800 mg. A medium-sized baked potato offers 900 mg. And a serving of salmon gives around 600 mg. So imagine if your diet includes 2 servings of greens, 1 avocado, and a piece of salmon, you're already near your daily goal of 700 mg. It's not that difficult once you start paying attention. The problem is most modern diets are built the opposite way. Breakfast, toast and coffee, no potassium. Lunch, sandwich or burger, maybe a little lettuce, but that's at dinner. Pasta, bread, or rice, again, very low potassium. The entire day passes with less than half of what your body truly needs. That's why even if you're cutting sodium, your blood pressure refuses to budge because there's no counterbalance from potassium. Now let's talk about the mechanism behind this. When potassium goes up, sodium naturally goes down. The two minerals are inversely related. Your kidneys use potassium to excrete excess sodium through urine. So when you increase potassium intake, your body starts flushing out the extra salt that's been retained in your tissues and blood vessels. This reduces fluid retention, lowers blood volume, and eases the pressure on your heart. It's like slowly releasing the valve of an overinflated tire. Relief comes naturally. But if potassium is too low, your body has no choice but to cling to sodium. Your kidneys try to hold on to it because sodium helps maintain fluid volume when potassium is scarce. It's a protective mechanism, but over time it becomes harmful. The more sodium your body holds, the more fluid you retain, and that extra fluid puts stress on your arteries. So even if you think you're doing everything right, the imbalance between sodium and potassium silently keeps your pressure high. Here's another important point. People with stressful lifestyles or those who drink too much caffeine are at even greater risk. Stress hormones like cortisol cause potassium to be excreted faster through urine. Caffeine does the same. So if you're under chronic stress, not sleeping well, and consuming multiple cups of coffee a day, you're losing potassium constantly. Add to that a processed food diet, and you have the perfect setup for chronic hypertension. But let's not forget one more vital aspect: insulin resistance. When your diet is high in refined carbs and sugars, your insulin levels rise. High insulin causes your kidneys to retain sodium and lose potassium. So it's not just about what you're eating, it's also about how your metabolism is functioning. This is why people with prediabetes or metabolic syndrome often struggle with blood pressure issues. They're burning through potassium faster than they can replace it. So instead of just cutting things out, you should be adding the right things in. Don't just think, I'll eat less salt. Think, I'll eat more potassium. Replace your processed snacks with a handful of almonds. Replace your evening chips with avocado or a small salad, and replace sweetened drinks with coconut water or mineral water. Small adjustments like these can completely shift your mineral balance within days. Coconut water, by the way, is a fantastic natural source of potassium. 1 glass can give you up to 600 mg, and it hydrates your cells far better than most sports drinks, which are overloaded with sugar and artificial sodium. But moderation is key. Too much coconut water adds sugar, so it's ideal in small amounts. The point here is that potassium is not a single magic bullet. It works because it restores balance in your body. Your cardiovascular system depends on balance between minerals, hydration, and hormones. Once potassium levels are restored, sodium begins to normalize automatically, and your blood vessels regain their natural flexibility. So if you're struggling with stubborn hypertension, don't only rely on medications or low salt diets. Those approaches treat the symptom, not the cause. The root cause is almost always a cellular imbalance, a lack of nutrients your body desperately needs to function correctly. Potassium, along with magnesium, is central to that process. Think of your heart as an electrical pump. It can't maintain its rhythm without the right electrolyte charge. Every heartbeat depends on potassium and sodium moving in and out of your heart cells. When potassium is missing, that rhythm becomes strained, the heart works harder, and pressure rises. But when potassium returns to normal, the system calms down naturally without forcing it through medication alone. So rather than fearing salt, start respecting balance. Focus on real foods, not processed ones. Make greens and avocados a daily habit and let potassium do what it was designed to do: regulate, relax, and restore. That's how you address high blood pressure at its root, not just mask it. Now, here's something most people don't realize. Your potassium levels can drop dramatically without you even noticing. It's not always because of a poor diet. Sometimes it's because of the things you're doing in the name of health. For example, if you're on a low carb or keto diet, or if you're taking diuretic medication to control your blood pressure, your potassium levels can fall very quickly. These situations make your body flush out fluids, and along with that water loss, you lose vital minerals, especially potassium and magnesium. That's why so many people on these regimens complain about fatigue, muscle cramps, dizziness, or irregular heartbeats. It's not that they're doing something wrong, it's that their body is simply losing more electrolytes than it's replacing. Potassium is not just any mineral, it's the main intracellular electrolyte in your body. That means most of your potassium lives inside your cells, not outside in the blood. It's responsible for maintaining the proper electrical charge that keeps your heart beating, your muscles contracting, and your nerves communicating. Think of it as the battery power for your cells. When potassium is low, that electrical potential drops, the heart might start skipping beats, muscles begin to twitch or cramp, and energy levels plummet. But because these symptoms are subtle at first, people often ignore them until blood pressure or heart rhythm problems show up. Now, here's an important connection. When you take diuretic drugs, often prescribed for high blood pressure, they force your kidneys to excrete sodium and water. But the problem is, those same drugs also make your body dump potassium. So while your blood pressure might drop initially, your potassium levels start falling too, which ironically makes your blood pressure more unstable in the long run. It's a vicious cycle. Medication lowers the pressure temporarily, but worsens the underlying mineral imbalance that caused the high blood pressure in the first place. People who go on low-carb diets face something similar. When you reduce carbs, your insulin levels drop, which is great for fat loss and metabolic health. But lower insulin also causes your kidneys to release sodium and water. That's why you lose several pounds of water weight in the first week. However, with that water goes your potassium and magnesium. And unless you're consciously replacing them, your blood pressure can actually rise, or you may experience fatigue and heart palpitations. That's why it's so important to replenish minerals when making big dietary changes. Potassium and magnesium work together. They are like partners in maintaining cellular balance. Magnesium helps potassium stay inside the cells, so if your magnesium is low, even if you increase potassium intake, your body won't be able to retain it efficiently. That's why when I talk about hypertension, I always emphasize both these minerals. It's not just about getting one right, it's about restoring the entire mineral ecosystem of your body. Now, let's talk about how potassium affects your nervous system and stress levels. When potassium is low, the nervous system becomes more excitable. Your body starts releasing more adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones. This creates a constant state of fight or flight, which in itself raises your blood pressure. So if you're always feeling tense, anxious, or you have trouble sleeping, it's possible that part of the reason is simply a lack of potassium and magnesium in your system. There's also a deeper connection between potassium and insulin sensitivity. When potassium levels drop, your cells become more resistant to insulin. That means your blood sugar stays higher, and your pancreas has to release even more insulin to compensate. This, in turn, tells your kidneys to retain more sodium, raising your blood pressure again. So, you can see how this single mineral deficiency can trigger a whole cascade of other imbalances: high insulin, high sodium, and high blood pressure. It's all connected. But here's the encouraging part. Your body is incredibly intelligent. The moment you start replenishing what it's been missing, it begins to correct itself naturally. When potassium intake goes up, your blood vessels begin to relax again. Your kidneys start balancing sodium properly. Your heart's electrical rhythm becomes smoother, and your stress hormones begin to calm down. These are not small changes. They can completely transform how you feel. Now, let's think practically. If you're on any kind of diuretic or blood pressure medication, it's wise to talk to your doctor about your potassium levels. Many people on these medications are chronically low in potassium without even realizing it. Doctors sometimes prescribe potassium supplements alongside diuretics for this reason. But even better is to build your diet around potassium-rich foods that nourish your cells continuously rather than relying on a pill. Here's another tip. When you sweat a lot, whether through exercise or hot weather, you lose potassium. If you finish a workout and feel dizzy, weak, or your heartbeat feels heavy, that's your body signaling a loss of electrolytes. Drinking plain water won't fix that. You need electrolyte balance. A post-workout smoothie with spinach, banana, and a little yogurt can restore those minerals quickly and prevent the crash. The big picture here is that potassium isn't just about blood pressure, it's about cellular energy and stability. Every heartbeat, every muscle movement, every nerve impulse depends on it. And yet, most of us are living in a constant state of mild deficiency, not even realizing how much better we could feel with the right balance restored. So, if your blood pressure is high or your energy is low or your body feels tense all the time, don't just look at the external factors. Look deeper. Ask, is my body electrically balanced? Because your health at its core is all about balance, and potassium is one of the most important keys to restoring it. Most people who struggle with high blood pressure spend years trying to lower it through medications, low salt diets, and lifestyle changes, but they still feel stuck. Their numbers might drop a little, but their body never truly feels balanced. And that's because they're addressing the symptom, not the system. High blood pressure isn't just about how much salt you eat, it's about how your cells handle minerals, fluid, and stress. When the ratio of sodium to potassium is off, the entire internal communication between your cells and organs gets disrupted. That's why the key isn't simply to cut salt, it's to restore potassium and bring that ratio back into harmony. When you start giving your body the right amount of potassium, something amazing happens. Your blood vessels begin to relax. You can literally feel the difference. Your hands and feet feel warmer, your breathing feels easier, and your heartbeat feels steadier. This is because potassium allows the smooth muscles in your blood vessel walls to relax and dilate, reducing the internal resistance your heart must push against. It's like suddenly widening a narrow road, traffic flows freely, and pressure drops instantly. Most people have been told to fear salt their entire lives, but the truth is the body doesn't work on fear, it works on balance. Sodium and potassium are meant to exist together in a perfect dance. One pulls, the other releases. Sodium brings water into the cells, while potassium pushes it out. When both are balanced, the cells stay hydrated without swelling. But when potassium is missing, sodium dominates and cells begin to retain excess fluid. That extra volume increases pressure, not just in your blood vessels, but in every tissue of your body. So instead of blaming salt entirely, focus on correcting the deficiency that allows salt to become harmful in the first place. Another crucial factor to understand is that magnesium works hand in hand with potassium. Many people who struggle with high blood pressure are also low in magnesium. Magnesium helps potassium move into the cells where it belongs. Without enough magnesium, your cells can't hold potassium efficiently, no matter how much you eat. This is why diets rich in leafy greens, seeds, and nuts are so powerful. They supply both minerals at once. When you restore magnesium, potassium follows, and your blood pressure begins to normalize in a natural, sustainable way. And think about how this ties to the modern world. We live in a state of chronic stress, rushing, working long hours, eating on the go. Every time you're stressed, your adrenal glands release hormones like cortisol and aldosterone. These hormones tell your kidneys to retain sodium and lose potassium. So if you're under continuous stress, your body is continuously losing potassium. You could be eating well, drinking water, and still be deficient because stress alone is enough to deplete your reserves. That's why relaxation, sleep, and deep breathing aren't just nice habits. They're essential tools to conserve your body's minerals and keep blood pressure under control. Now, I want you to picture your body as an electrical circuit. Every cell, especially in your heart and brain, runs on a delicate voltage. That voltage depends on sodium being outside the cell and potassium being inside. The moment potassium drops, that voltage weakens. Your heart has to work harder to maintain rhythm. Your nerves become overstimulated and your muscles tighten. Over time, this overstimulation becomes your normal, and that's when chronic hypertension sets in. But as soon as you begin restoring potassium, that electrical balance comes back online. The current flows evenly, the heart relaxes, and your entire system feels calmer. It's incredible how fast the body responds when you start eating right. Within days of adding potassium-rich foods, people often report less bloating, fewer headaches, more stable energy, and even better mood. That's because potassium doesn't just affect blood pressure, it also regulates how your brain handles neurotransmitters, Low potassium can make you feel irritable, anxious, or fatigued. When your cells are properly charged again, your body feels lighter and your mind clearer. Now, you don't have to do anything extreme to get these results. Just start making simple swaps. Replace packaged snacks with a handful of nuts. Add avocado to your breakfast. Include leafy greens or a spinach smoothie at lunch. Use mushrooms and tomatoes in your dinner. Drink a glass of coconut water or mineral water if you feel fatigued. Each of these choices adds up. Within a few weeks, you'll notice your blood pressure readings begin to shift, not because you restricted yourself, but because you nourished your body. There's also something deeper here. When your potassium and magnesium are balanced, your body becomes more resilient to stress. Your heart doesn't overreact to every emotional trigger, your blood pressure doesn't spike as easily, and your energy remains steady. You're not just fixing a number on a monitor, you're rebuilding your entire internal equilibrium. So, instead of thinking about high blood pressure as a lifelong condition that needs endless medication, start thinking of it as a signal, a message that your body is out of mineral balance. The fix is not to remove everything from your life, but to restore what's missing. You can't run an electrical system on half a charge. You can't expect your heart to work perfectly without its key nutrients. The path to balanced blood pressure isn't a mystery. It's about giving your body what nature intended: potassium, magnesium, hydration, rest, and real food. Once you do that, your body does the rest. It's not about fighting your blood pressure. It's about supporting the system that regulates it. That's how you bring your health back into balance naturally and permanently.